The book is simply called Sword and Scalpel, a surgeon's story of faith and courage in Africa. It's the story of Dr. Robert Livingston Foster's life, a life that's been simply spellbinding. In the foreword to the book, Franklin Graham, president of Samaritan's Purse and World Medical Mission and son of famed evangelist Billy Graham, writes, "I believe Bob is the #1 missionary statesman in the evangelical world today, and the man God has used in a mighty way to open up new frontiers for the gospel in some of the roughest areas of Africa." In all, the now Greensboro, North Carolina-based Bob Foster devoted his career, some 60 years of medicine and ministry, to the people of Zambia and war-torn Angola, where he founded 3 hospitals in remote areas while serving as a surgeon and as a medical director. His story is one that's told with words and limited pictures. Among the many losses resulting from the Civil War that engulfed Angola were Bob's photographs. Bob Foster's parents were missionaries. For 58 years, they planted churches in Zambia, baptizing new believers. It wasn't the only seed sown. 2 of their 3 sons followed in their ministry. At Bob's side for his missionary journey was his wife of more than 60 years, Belva. The 2 met at a Christian summer camp outside of Toronto. As fate would have it, both would attend the University of Toronto and both were interested in missionary work. They were also interested in each other. They became engaged after 6 years of friendship. Their friendship lasted more than 10 times longer. Bob and Belva celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary in 2008 and remained together until this day. After completing his residency at Vanderbilt University in Nashville in 1949, Bob and Belva immediately went to Zambia, where he founded and served for 12 years as medical director of Mukingi Hospital. Bob and his missionary staff of volunteers built the 60-bed hospital from the ground up. Beds were foreign to the natives. Nurses often found the patients sleeping on the floor under the bed with the rest of their relatives. While in Mukingi, Bob also founded a school of nursing. From there, it was on to Luampa, where Bob built another hospital before beginning his next adventure in Angola. In the past, Kavango Hospital had been primarily a leprosarium with 40 beds. Once again, Bob, with Belva and 4 of their soon-to-be 7 children in tow, set out to build new facilities. 3 years after his arrival, Kavango had a new hospital. By 1974, the facility had served almost 100,000 outpatients. In 1975, Bob and his family took a furlough, returning to the United States to assist with the care of his parents. With Civil War worsening and the need for physicians growing, Bob later returned to Angola on his own. As fighting intensified, he and other missionaries were escorted out of the area by 200 heavily armed soldiers. By the time Bob returned to Kavango in 1976, it was in ruins. Cuban soldiers had arrived one day after missionaries were directed to leave the area. Patients that could fled. Others were not as fortunate. Cuban soldiers forced 30 of the sickest patients from Kavango Hospital into a grass hut and set it on fire. Despite the death and destruction, Bob, Belva, and their family returned to Angola. He would spend 30 more years in missionary service in Africa, service that was acknowledged in 1988 when World Vision International named Dr. Foster as its Missionary Statesman of the Year. In 2006, things came full circle for Bob. He went back to Kavango and, for 6 weeks, camped there while supervising the construction of a clinic that was built using the foundation of his original hospital that had been destroyed 30 years earlier. Dr. Robert Livingston Foster has been described as a modern Christian hero. He's also a member of the class of 2010, inducted into the Medical Mission Hall of Fame.